Okay, and thank you for joining me today on Dr. Teach Me to Parent. Good to have you with me as we unfold several topics today that are very, very important for young children and for parents who are developing a personality, developing a moral system, developing a value system of their children. And we're going to cover about 3 or 4 different topics today and kind of just jump around a little bit and give you a taste of several things that really are critical for young children developing positive lifestyle and personality and behavioral patterns. Now, to put this in perspective, let me just give you a quote and kind of tell you how we're going to go today, okay? A father who does not teach his children to do their duties is equally guilty when they neglect them. You could really just change that a little bit by saying parents who do not teach their children to do their duties are equally guilty if the children do not do them. You see, we instill within our children habits and behavior patterns, and then those prevail. The child goes through life developing further on those skills and those basic abilities and attitudes. But we have to start out as parents teaching them this issue. And here is the one of teaching them the chores, teaching them the duties that they are to fulfill within the context of family life. Everybody has one. I always say from a child 3 years up has chores and duties to fulfill. And it's your job as a parent to not only teach them, but to assure that they are exercised regularly on a regular schedule and it becomes part of that child's lifestyle. Okay, before we delve into our topic for today, which is going to be resilience, by the way, just remember this, that you're welcome to get in contact with us here if you'd like to sponsor a program, if you'd like to sponsor some nonprofit organization, and just let us know and we'll work the details out for you so that you could be a sponsor of this program as well. So you're welcome to that opportunity. Now let's take a look at this issue of resilience, okay? Resilience is a very critical skill for children. We need children who bounce back. We need children who get up when they fall down and they can get up and move forward again. We need our children to overcome failure, overcome disappointment, overcome defeat, overcome difficult times in their life. And obviously we want children to be very strong, to stand strong in the midst of a storm, in the midst of tough times in their life. Someone has said it like this: in the middle of a storm is no time to learn how to swim. Well, it's the same thing when it's resilience. You teach resilient skills, you teach resilient behavior before a child enters into the competitive world in which they live and experience setbacks and experience failure and experience frustration and experience a tough teacher or a inappropriate or a undeveloped teacher, one that is without the skills of really quality teaching. You see, kids have all kinds of setbacks in their life, in their day-to-day life, and they need to have that resilience so they stand up and they move forward despite the fact that they have difficulties in the classroom, they have difficulties in the home, they have difficulties in the playground, they have difficulty with their friends or whatever it might be. So resilience is a tough skill. It's one that we have to learn, and it's learning to be tough, if that's, you think of it in that sense, for the child. Now, what are some of the skills of resilience? What are some of the ways in which a child can develop resilience and you as a parent can teach to your child the important skills so that they develop a life of resilience and can be tough when the battle gets hard out in the street and in the classroom and in the playground? So, here's the first one. Very, very important. Help a child learn optimism. You see, you need to be optimistic as a parent. Have that sense of hope. Have that sense of futurism. That things will get better. We can do things better. Even though we fail, even though we have tough times in life, we can do it better in the future. We can work harder and we can succeed at a higher level. Optimism is that. Now, all of us have tragedies and we feel like we want to give up. Tragedy is that sense of being overwhelmed, being overtaken by some stress or some person or some event, and we want to give up. But you can't in the midst of a tragedy. In the midst of tragedy, you still need to move forward and be optimistic and be positive and be hopeful. We call that word tragic optimism. Tragic optimism. That's the basic skill that a child must learn in the midst of a tragedy, in the midst of a stressor, in the midst of a tough time in his life. He can stand up and move forward, go forward, and do so with hope and with the expectation that things can get better. Okay, that's number one, optimism. Here's number two. We need to overcome. We need to have self-belief. We need to overcome our sense of failure, our sense of defeatism, and have that self-belief that you can do it, that you're strong, you're capable, you're competent. You have the abilities, you have the basic skills, and you can utilize those to go forward. It's overcoming that sense of defeatism and moving forward into that sense of, I can do it. I can be competent. I can succeed. Much research over the years has shown this, that it's fathers in the life of a child that gives that child that sense of self-belief that I can do it, I can succeed, and I can be competent. And particularly with girls in the family, it's the father that instills within that girl that sense of self-belief, that sense of future hope, that future success, if you will. That comes from fathers. So dads, get with it. Our kids need to have that ability to believe in themselves, even when other people may not. Okay, that's number two, self-belief. Here's the third one. You have to adjust. Kids have to learn how to adjust. Things don't go as planned. We know that. Every home is like that. Every family is like that. We set up our plans, we set up our activities, we set up our schedule, and then something happens. So we have to go through an adjustment. We have to do it differently. We have to do it in a different manner, a different way, a different time. You have to delay. Maybe you do it tomorrow, maybe not today. Maybe we'll do it next week instead, and so on. That is that ability to adjust to the circumstances that you're in at the time. So you need to teach kids, look, it didn't go so well today, did it? But let's figure out ways to do it better tomorrow. Or, I know you were disappointed. I know you were hoping to do something today, but it turned out to be a rainy day. It turned out to be a bad day. Other things happened to get in our way. So we need to plan for tomorrow. And kids need to get that sense that it will happen, even though it's delayed. It will happen in a different time. It will happen in a different way. But kids need that sense that they can adjust, and that's okay. Things can work out. Things can be just as good at a different time and in a different way. Now, what about problem solving? Well, if you don't have the ability to solve a problem, you're doomed. Life is going to be tough because life is problem after problem after problem after problem. And we need that ability to be able to say, I can solve that problem. So you take a problem and you break it down into its parts. You may not be able to solve a whole problem, but you maybe solve a part of it. Maybe you can solve some of it today and some of it tomorrow and some of it next week. That whole idea of being a problem solver. Don't be overwhelmed by problems. Don't be afraid of problems. Don't be scared of problems. Don't get upset when problems come your way. Go into the mode of, okay, what can we do now? How can we resolve that? How can we change it? How can we improve it? How can we impose a better way of doing something when it didn't work out the way we anticipated? Teachers create problems for us. Friends create problems for us. Parents create problems for kids. We create problems, but we need our children to have that ability to solve a problem, take it in parts, take it in bits and pieces, and go for it and solve it one day at a time and one part at a time. Now, here's another thing about resilience. You can't go it alone. Resilient kids don't go it alone. Resilient kids have support. Resilient kids have social support. Resilient kids have a lot of friends. Resilient kids have a lot of adults in their life. Resilient kids have a lot of leaders, adult leaders in their life, church leaders and school leaders and so on. Kids who are resilient have other people to guide them or to back them up or to encourage them or to support them or to point the way for them. That's what adults do. That's what support systems do for us. They don't solve our problem. They don't take it away. They don't do things for us. They don't do our chores for us. They don't do our responsibilities for us, but they support us in so doing. They guide us in so doing. They work with us. They guide us so that when a task is not as tough as it would be otherwise. A support system is essential if a kid is going to have resilience. He has to know that somebody is in back of him. Somebody has his back. Somebody has the ability to come in and give him the support and give him the guidance, give him the direction, give him the pointers that he needs at any given point in time. That's social support. Generally that comes from dad. Generally that comes from mother. Generally that comes from an older sister, an older sibling, an aunt, an uncle, parent, grandparents, and so on. Friends, teachers, and on and on and on. Support systems are there. Kids who are resilient have a lot of people in their life that we call support people. And make sure your child has many support people in their life. Your child will if you do as a parent. Your child will have as many support people in their life as you have in your life. So support systems are extremely important. And then here's the next one, emotional awareness. That means you're aware of the times when you feel down. You're aware that you're depressed. You're aware that you're anxious. You're aware that you're a little bit of moodiness today. You're aware of the fact that you have joy or you have happiness or you have energy today. You can feel that energy within yourself and you can know where you are. But when you have emotional awareness, you can then do something about it. If you're a little depressed, you can do something to get undepressed. You put some energy in your life. If you're anxious, you can do some things to reduce that anxiety. That's what emotional awareness is all about. Controlling the emotions of your life. Usually that of anxiety, fear, usually that of anger, usually that of depression. And when those emotions occur, those are strong emotions, we're aware of them and we take steps to reduce them, moderate them, put them into the mild category so they don't become disruptive and they don't become self-defeating. And then lastly, let me just say this. A sense of humor is important. Kids need to learn to laugh at themselves. Kids need to learn to laugh at you as a mother. Kids learn to laugh at you as a father. Kids need to learn to laugh at themselves and at other people. Humor needs to be part of your family life. Have fun. Joke and tell stories and make quips and make various little stories out of things. But give that sense of humor to your kids. Teach humor. You be humorous. You look at things with a sense of humor so that your child gets that sense of humor as well. Humor is a very important part because it covers up some of the anguish, some of the depression, some of the anxiety, some of the fear that we live with. Sometimes you can get rid of that by just looking at things with a little bit of humor. Sometimes we have energy just from that humor that we create within ourselves. So you see, resilience is an important topic. You can see that just by looking at the qualities and the traits and the skills of a child that has resilience. It's up to you as a parent to teach them. Kids don't come born with resilience. Now, they may have strong constitutions because of genetic factors that develop during the course of the birth, but kids learn that sense of resilience. They learn to swim before the storm takes place, before the storm occurs. Remember that. Teach these skills around the table. Teach these skills as you drive in the car. Teach these skills and talk about them as you put a child to bed. Teach these skills when events happen in their life. Take opportunity of those teaching moments in the life of a child and just talk about some of these skills. Give illustrations of them. Tell the child how you handle these kind of situations and some of the skills you had to learn how to develop so that you became a resilient person as an adult. Share your life with your kids. Give them experiences that you've had, and then they'll learn from those much better than if you just give them a list, such as I've presented here, for your attention and for your review. So that's resilience and critical behavior. Learn it, teach it, and enjoy the benefits of being resilient. You don't get depressed. You don't get defeated when you have resilience. You have tough times, but you overcome them and you move forward. Okay? We're going to take a break and see you in a couple of minutes.
The Green Gables Care Home is a 24-hour assisted living facility for the elderly located in Clovis, California, offering spacious private and semi-private rooms which are wheelchair approved, catering to the special person in your life who needs attention and wants to live in a loving home environment. The Green Gables Care Home has assisted living in secured homes for elderly with Alzheimer's, memory loss, and for your loved ones needing assistance with their activities of daily living. Call 559-297-9438 and visit greengablescarehome.com.
Sometimes good intentions hurt rather than help. For just $1.76 per meal, the Fresno Rescue Mission offers more than food. We offer hope. Please donate today.
Do you need a locksmith? Layman's Lock and Safe Service and Repair is available for you. 559-228-1805.
Gained a lot, learned a lot, and got a lot of love. If it weren't for the knowledge that I had gained from the classes at PCC, I probably wouldn't be the mom I am today. See, there it goes.
I would love you to meet my son, Aaron. My situation was very difficult. I didn't know how my life was going to turn out.
We graduated in June 2010 and we got married in July. And through family, the Pregnancy Care Center changed our lives.
The Pregnancy Care Center was a huge, vital part in helping me walk through that pregnancy, in educating me and loving on me during that time.
Choosing a Medicare plan can be difficult and frustrating. Susan Hatch can guide you through the Medicare maze and help find the right plan for you. Susan helps people understand the confusing and drastic changes that occur every year in Medicare. Susan will only recommend plans that will protect your assets and allow you to continue to see your personal doctor. As a 100% independent agent, Susan is not controlled by any particular insurance company to steer a person onto any one particular plan. Susan was awarded the #1 Medicare supplement agent in California. Look for Susan's Medicare question and answers every Monday in the Fresno Bee. Call Susan at 559-307-2287 and visit MedicareToday.net.
Central Valley Talk.
Hey, welcome back from your break. I hope you got a cup of coffee and that you can now join us here for another little segment of Dr. Teach Me to Parent. I hope that you picked up on the issue of resilience in our first segment. Extremely important skill to teach your children and for a child to have those skills as they move on into junior high school and on into high school and so on. And that's going to pay off enormously well for a kid. If you teach those skills, those basic skills, if you teach those, your kid has the chances of a pretty good level of success as he goes through school and then on into life and certainly into marriage and into a work situation. When the problems do get tough, the problems do hang around and stick and really get into our craw. But we got to have that resilience to stand up and face life in spite of the tough times that come our way. Now, here's the deal. There are kids who don't have resilience. There are a lot of kids who never have learned resilience. Parents never taught them resilience. Teachers in their school never gave them lessons or experiences or little talks on resilience. They just never learned the resilience skills. You know what happens to those kids? They become depressed. Those kids are more likely to be depressed because with the resilience, you can handle situations in life. If you don't have resilience, situations in life become overwhelming and they become overpowering. And that can give you that sense that you are weak, you're incompetent, you're not able to handle something in life. So therefore, you get that sense of feeling depressed. feeling sad, just feeling helpless, and sometimes even feeling hopeless. Now, unfortunately, we live in a world today when depression is a very powerful emotion in the life of teenagers, pre-teenagers. We're seeing the suicide rate just escalate over the past several years, and it's continuing to escalate. Unfortunately, our kids today have stresses that they cannot handle. They don't have the resilience. You see, they weren't taught the resilience. So they're in situations where they cannot handle these things. And what happens is they often give up. They get that sense of helplessness and then hopelessness, and hopelessness leads to suicide. We have a high level of suicide rate. The level of suicide rate, or the level of suicide for girls, is going up enormously. It's high for boys, but it's now escalating for girls as well. So that's the sober part of the issue that we have to just keep in mind. When we deal with depression, we prevent suicide. When we teach resilience, we prevent suicide. We not only pave the way for greater success, but we prevent these tragedies happening in the life of a kid or the life of a family or whomever. So it's a serious issue, and I want you to take it seriously. So listen, as I go through this issue here about depression, if you know somebody that needs to be listening to this program, give them a call right now and tell them to tune in. If you're watching this on a YouTube, forward it to them. Encourage them to listen to it so that they can get that background as well, learning about resilience. And now as we look at the issue of depression, a very, very important topic, for us to look at with our kids. Can we prevent it? Is there a way to prevent it? Can we teach children to live a life so they are not, depressed? Well, okay, let's go through the list. Problem solving. We talked about that under resilience, but it's also under depression. Kids need to learn how to solve problems and make decisions. You see, the problem is this. When a kid is faced with a problem and doesn't know how to handle it, doesn't know how to solve it, they become overwhelmed. They become defeated. And then they become depressed. If they don't know how to solve a problem, they don't know how to make a decision, they don't know what to do, they can't choose between this, they can't choose between that, and whatever else, they just get overwhelmed and they get defeated and they give up. When they give up, that's the feeling of depression. Depression is helplessness. Depression is an overwhelming feeling of helplessness. No matter what I do, no matter what I try, no matter what I say, it doesn't make any difference. It doesn't solve anything. So depression is a very critical emotion. It's a tough emotion. It's a defeating emotion. It's a hurtful and painful emotion. It's tough to live as a depressed person. So we need to help our kids live above the line of depression, and you do that by teaching decision making, and you do that by teaching problem solving. Now, here's number 2. Kids need to learn how to talk. If you don't talk, if you have something to say and you don't talk, if you have a feeling that you cannot express, if you have an idea that you want somebody to know about but you can't tell them, it's like stuttering. If you can't talk, you carry that within yourself. You carry that around and you just keep it within and you never share it with anybody. And then people don't know how you think. People don't know how you feel. People don't know what you want. People don't know what you don't want. You see? So assertive communication skill is just merely that. Letting people in your world know what it is about you that you think is important. What it is about you that the feeling is strong. You want people to want to share that with somebody. What it is that you want. What it is that you don't want. What it is that you want to change. You see, we depend upon our communication skills to get in life the things that are necessary for us and the things that are important to us and the things that will make life a success for us. Communication skill is extremely important. Communication is like playing tennis, if you will. If you think of it this way, you serve the ball, that's like saying something. And then the person hits it back, that's like responding. And then you hit that back, and that's responding to that person. And tennis goes back and forth 2 or 3, 4, 5 hits. And that's what communication is all about. People who say something and back and forth 2 or 3 or 4 times, and that communication then is a way of relating to each other and becoming part of somebody else's life and letting them become part of your life as an individual. And gives you that competency gives you that power, gives you that empowerment that you don't have to feel helpless. You don't have to live with a hopelessness, but you can live with that sense that you can have what you want, you can get what you need, you can communicate things to people who are important to you, and you can be part of the dialogue of life. That's assertive communication skills, okay? What's number 3 on this? That's similar. Teach listening skills. Communication skills require good listening skills. It's kind of like having a listening ear in your life. Somebody who will listen when you talk. Well, other people want that. People want you to be the listening ear. People want you to be listening when they talk, when they share, when they tell what's important to them, when they just open their life a little bit, open their ideas, share an idea, share something that happened today in school. What they want you to do is to listen, not to critique, not to say something in return that's going to be negative. Just listen. A listening ear is somebody who is attentive, who looks at you when you talk, gets down to your level of your height and pays attention to you, gives you full attention, nods, says yes, I understand, maybe ask a question for more information, tell me more, tell me what you think about this. So they probe you for more discussion. That's what a listening ear person does. He opens his life, he opens his ear to you as you speak, and to you as you talk, and prompts you to talk, prompts you to open your life, prompts you to tell what you think. And they'll talk. Mothers are good listening ears usually. Fathers are usually not good listening ears. So Dad, you need to learn that skill. You need to learn that kids need to talk. Yesterday I observed a family in a restaurant. I observed them. Dad was sitting at the table, 3 kids were sitting at the table, and Grandma was at the table. And that father never said one word to those kids, and the kids never said one word to that father for over a half hour of a mealtime. Now, what went wrong there? Well, we have a father that wasn't communicating, so the kids weren't communicating to him. We have a father that wasn't listening, obviously, so the kids weren't talking to him. You see, for a relationship to flourish, for a relationship to take place, you have to listen. You have to probe. You have to encourage people to talk to you. And then you respond to that as well. That's what tennis is all about. You hit and you hit back. You hit and you hit back. You listen and you listen for more. You listen and you listen for more. Listening is a critical skill in the area of depression prevention. Okay? Now, what's the next one? Teach empowerment. Teach a kid that he can make a difference. Teach a kid that if he does something, people will pay attention. If he does something, people will help. If he talks, somebody will listen. If he has an idea, somebody will listen and then develop it. Ask for more. That's empowering a kid. That's giving a kid a sense that they are important, that they're valued, that they're essential in your life, that they contribute to your family, they contribute to your home, they contribute to the family life and the lifestyle that goes on within your home. That's what you're doing when you give a kid that sense of empowerment. You're letting him know that he makes a difference. His ideas make a difference. His feelings make a difference. His presence makes a difference. His humor makes a difference. All those things affect you as a mother, affect you as a father, affect the other kids in the family. That's what this idea of empowerment is. That kid gets that sense he's independent, gets that sense he's not helpless, he's not powerless. He can contribute. He can say things. He can influence what goes on. He can influence the decision that's made in the family. He can share his ideas. He can make suggestions. He can alter the way plans are being developed and so on. A kid needs that sense that he's in part of a discussion, part of a decision-making process, part of a scheme that's being developed within the family, and he's part of it, not just a victim of it, but that he's a contributing member to it. That's giving the kid that sense of empowerment. Now, self-esteem, social esteem. I've spoken to this before. It's important as you as a parent give words of encouragement to your child that develops that sense of personal esteem, that he's valued, that he's a good person, that he's got skills, he has abilities, he has potential, he has a future, he has things he can do, he can have skill and develop those skills. He has a hobby and he can really develop that. You see, you want to let that kid know that he's got something within himself. He was born with it. God gave it to him. He developed some skills. He has them. And you want to help him understand what those are. And that gives him that sense of self-esteem. Your dad, it's important that every kid hear from you daily that you value them and that you want them to know that you appreciate who they are and what they contribute to you as a father and to your family. Mother, same thing. Every day, make sure your kid gets that sense of esteem from you. What you see in them, what you value in them, what you appreciate in your kids. Express it, say it, and your kids will develop that sense of self-esteem. But social esteem is a little different. Social esteem has just a little different flavor to it. It's the idea that I know that other people think well of me. That's social esteem. That I have learned from my social interactions, I've learned from my parents, I've learned from other people, they have told me this, that other people value me, other people like me, other people appreciate what I do, other people appreciate what I've done, other people appreciate what I can do. You see, when a teacher compliments you for your child, you go home and tell your child that your teacher complimented them, because that's giving social esteem. It's helping your kid learn that other people value them, other people like them, other people appreciate them. The alternative is the other. You know, the belief that kids think that nobody likes them. They're not good enough for anybody, and nobody will like them. That's negative social esteem. We don't want that. We want the positive social esteem, where you pass on to your kids anytime you hear something positive, anytime that you think your kid could value from that and know that other people like them, appreciate them, and want to be with them and want them around. You see? And you do that within your family, as well. So that's esteem. Now, one other thing. We have to have rewards in life. Rewards in life are important. We call them reinforcers. But the rewards in life, when you do something and you're rewarded for that, you're tending going to do that again. When you do something, somebody compliments you, you're going to do that again. When you do something you're praised for, you're going to do that again. Clean your room, straighten your homework assignment, finish it on time, do it more neatly, whatever that is. When you do something and you're appreciated for that, you're rewarded for that with extra time or with a comment or a compliment, then you will tend to do that task again more often and maybe even do it better in the future. You see, rewards are important in life, and you as a parent, you're the source of rewards. You're the one who gives out the rewards. You're the one who provides rewards. Sometimes it's a little piece of candy. Sometimes it's staying up an extra hour at night. Sometimes it's a treat that they would particularly like. Sometimes it's a special meal that you'll prepare for them. Sometimes it's going on a little jaunt together, a little social event together, taking a ride in the car together, going somewhere, doing something fun together as a reward for doing something well in that particular day or over the course of that week. Your kid comes home with good grades, goodness me, make that a source of celebration and do things that would celebrate good grades. It's the good grades you want to celebrate, because then kids will tend to get better grades in the future. So make sure that rewards are very much a part of everyday life. Should be like 20 different compliments a kid gets per day. 20 different kind of rewards that kid gets per day for the good things that he does, for the achievements that he's made, for the improvements that he's made. You got to watch for those things and then follow that up with compliments. But you can do one other thing. You can teach children how to get rewards from other people. How they can ask, how did I do today? How do you like this? Look what I did today. Do you like it? If you do a little artwork or if you do a little homework assignment, or just show that to your parent and say, do you like it? Did I do all right? Did I do well? It's kind of like asking for a compliment, you see? And parent, make sure it comes in the form of a compliment, not as a criticism, but as a compliment. So make sure that your life, your home life, just has a flow of appreciation words and complimentary words and support words and encouraging words and words that just lift up and support and encourage and build up the confidence in your particular children, okay? Now here's the last one. Teach value of a family bond. Teach the value of a family bond. You know, a family bond is just merely, we are a family, we are a team. It's kind of like saying, Mom, we're a team and I'm the coach. Dad, we're a team and I'm the manager. You see? Put it that way. But give that sense of a bond. We do things together. We support each other. We encourage each other. We go places together. Nobody goes through a difficult time alone. They go through difficult times together. We support each other. If you go to a hospital, we visit. We do it as a family. You have a problem, you have a sore, you have an injury, we're there to support you as a family. You have a celebration, you have a success, you have an achievement, you have an accomplishment, you have a play that you're a part of at school, you have a song that you're singing, you have some kind of a musical instrument you're playing. The family listens and the family supports and the family enjoys that together. It's family bonding. Do things that build memory as a family. Do things that build that sense of oneness as a family. It's like a team. You have to come together and you solve problems together. You celebrate together. You encourage each other together. You rest together. You relax together. You move forward together. You succeed together. That's family bond. And when kids have that, they're less likely to be depressed. And that's the whole point of it. When you do these kinds of things in a family, when you live that way within the family, your child will probably not be depressed. But if you have a depression in your family, you have one of your kids that is a little prone to depression, make sure these kind of behaviors are very much part of everyday life. Compliments are very important. Encouraging communication, very important. Doing things as a family together. Doing things with dad, doing things with mom, doing things with the kids together. That's family bonding. And that gives that sense of belonging, that sense of unity, that sense of support. And that works against the depression. Depression is not a good mood to experience. Depression is something you don't want your kid to go through. But you see, you can prevent it by dealing with these things. You can help a kid get through it by making sure these behavior patterns become very much a part of their day-to-day experience. Okay? All right, we're going to take a break and come on back in a couple minutes.
Dentist who has a passion for superior aesthetics and comfort. You need Dr. Christopher Wong with Cedar North Dental. Call 559-432-4948 or visit cedarnorthdental.com.
Hey! Try to close the club.
Tanya, come here.
At Boys and Girls Clubs, it's not just about trying new things.
Kitchen in my hometown.
It's not about learning the right steps.
4
or making contact.
5, 6, 7, 8.
It's not about exploring the future. It's about helping them build it. It's about taking steps to greatness. About making a connection. It's about proving every kid and teen has what it takes. It's about people in our clubs who bring out the greatness in every kid who enters our doors. It's not just about being on stage. It's about walking across it. Great futures start here, and here, and here.
Sat7 is a Christian media network that uses uncensored satellite television to broadcast across the Middle East and North Africa, and is also available globally online.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Okay, thanks for joining us again for part 3 of our program today, Dr. Teach Me to Parent. You see, we've been talking about resilience. Kids who are successful, who achieve, have that ability to be resilient. They've been taught the resilient skills which we have reviewed today in great detail. But you know, they also do not face that emotion we dread, and that emotion we call depression. Resilient kids tend not to be depressed. But unfortunately, there are a number of kids who are depressed and they don't have those resilient skills. They weren't taught those resilient skills, so they struggle with depression. And we just now talked about that. You can handle that. As a parent, you can deal with that. But here's a third issue with kids. There are some kids that just come to the conclusion, sometimes at age 16, sometimes 17, 18, 19, when they think that they can do life alone and they don't need you as a parent. They think they've learned it all, and now they can go off on their own and live their life without you. There are kids who don't accept your point of view, don't accept your values, don't accept your political position, don't accept your religious position, don't accept your faith, don't accept the way that you live. You know, they just want to go off on their own and think that they can do it themselves better. There are kids that do that. The Bible tells us about the prodigal son who went off on his own and eventually did a great deal of damage and a great deal of failure, and eventually had to come home and admit his failures and admit his inadequacy. Well, we have kids like that too. We all have kids like that. But it's a tough time in the life of a family when a kid says, adios. When a kid says, Mom and Dad, I don't want any more of your teaching. I don't want any more of your influence. I don't want any more of your life in mine. I'm going to go and associate with my friends. I'm going to go with my girlfriend. I'm going to go with my boyfriend. I'm going to go with my friends that I met in school. Some will go out and live on the street. But there are kids that take that position that somehow or another they know better and they can do it better. And they're not going to listen to you one more time. And that's a tough time for a parent, because it makes the whole world's come crashing down. It's almost like your total failure as a parent. You know, but it's not that. It's not that bad, but it is bad. But here's the way that you have to handle that as a parent. How do you deal with that? How do you survive those times in your family life when your kid just looks you in the face and basically spits at you and basically says, he didn't like you. Basically says he didn't like your way of life. Doesn't like the way that you live. Doesn't want to be part of it. Disowns you. Disassociates with the family. Disowns brother and sister and dog and cat and so on. They want to go off on their own. How do you deal with that as a parent? Well, let me tell you just a couple of points, okay? Number one, don't abandon your child just because your child's abandoning you. Don't withdraw from your child just because your child's withdrawn from you. Stay available. Stay open. But you can't go chasing after your child. You can't go running down the street after your child. You can't be the helicopter parent over your child. They have to go. They have to go out on their own. They have to experience that life that they thought they could handle. but you don't abandon them. You let them know that you're there. You let them know that your telephone is always to be answered. You let them know that your door is always open. You let them know that you will meet them at any time and anywhere, any place, and talk. Now, there may be some conditions that you may put on them, but you don't abandon them and don't withdraw from them. Keep them in your sights, so to speak. Let them know that you're home waiting for them to return. You're there for them should they fail. You're there for them should they have a difficult time and a crisis or trauma develops in their life. They can always come back home. Be available, but don't go chasing after them. Okay, that's number one. Here's number two. Keep perspective. You know, as a parent, this is a tough time in your life. This is tough when your kids say, I don't want you anymore. I don't like you anymore. I don't like the way that you live. That's tough for a parent. But keep perspective. Here's the deal. For 18 years, you've raised that kid. For 17, 19 years, you've raised that kid. You've taught that kid right and wrong. You've taught that kid good and bad. You've taught that kid preferences. You've taught that kid how to solve problems. You've taught that kid how to talk. You've taught that kid what to look out for in life and when to be careful and when to be cautious. You've taught all those things. And perspective means you have to have hope that your kid will remember those things and always be part of that experience of whatever it is that you taught, they'll now pick it up on their own. They haven't forgotten it, you see. It's like you taught them manners. You taught them social skills. Well, here's the time for them to exercise those manners and those social skills in their life. So be part of their life. But keep it in perspective. You did that before. You've taught that before. And now it's their turn to take those skills that you taught, take those attitudes and those values that you taught, and make them into their own life and incorporate them into their own life. That's what they're basically trying to do. What works for them? See? What works? What is a good way to live? They're going to learn that in the course of their behavior out on the street or wherever they end up in life. So keep that in perspective. Keep hope. Because you did it in good faith, let it prevail in good faith. And then there's always time for discussion. There's always time to meet that kid. You can always say to your kid, look, whenever you want to talk, I'm available. Just send the word to me. Drop off a note in my front door. Leave a message on my telephone. You know, just let me know that you want to talk. I'll meet you anytime, anywhere. Remember, for kids, they need somebody to talk to. And there are times when they will talk, and there are times when they have to talk. So be available for the time of discussion. Help them explore answers to their problems. Let them explore answers to their concerns or to the difficulties they're facing in life now on their own. Don't answer their problems. Don't solve their problems for them, but be available for discussion. That's what's the important thing there is. And then also come to appreciate and understand, you know, that God brought them into your life and God will protect them now wherever they are and however they go. You got to have that faith, you got to have that belief that there's a protective hand over them. There's a guiding hand over them. Even if it's not your hand. Even your hand can't reach out that far. But you have to have that faith and belief that they are under supervision. They are under protection. They are under guidance. They are under the hand of God. You got to have that belief. And that will get you through these tough times. But the last point is a very important one. And you say this throughout life, basically, but you also say it now when a kid is ready to leave home and get on his own and walk away from you and walk away from your home and your values and your faith. You got to set some rules. You got to set some expectations. You have to set some guidelines. I've told parents this: if a kid walks away from your home, they can't walk back into their home anytime. They have to come back with permission. They have to come back demonstrating that they've changed. They have to come back demonstrating that they will now operate within the context of your family. Otherwise, they're not welcome back home. They're not ready to come back home. That's a rule. That's a guideline. That's an expectation, you see. You set that for a kid. You let them know that, right away. You set the expectation that you are not going to send money. You aren't going to leave money at the doorstep. You're not going to leave money behind a bush or under a rock somewhere. They're on their own. They have to work and get their own money. They have to beg and get their own money. but you're not going to be providing support for a lifestyle that you don't encourage and you don't want, but that's self-destructive anyway. Let them experience what it's like to live in which they have to get their own money to live life. Don't provide money for them. Don't go that route. Because if you do, they're just like living in your home, except they're taking your money but living outside on the street. Your home and your money belongs to you. And if they want to be part of your family, want to be part of your life, they're welcome. But if they don't want that, then they're on their own and they get their own house. They get their own money. They make their own decisions. They make their own way of life. This is a tough one for parents. Tough one for mothers. But you know, kids, that there are time in their life when they need to be let go. And they need to learn what it's like out on the street, and what it's like down the street, and what it's like in a different town or a different community or a different state or wherever they happen to go. It's theirs to experience. And then in the course of time, and it usually is about 5 years, by the way, but in the course of time, they start reevaluating their life and begin to integrate what it was like living in your home under your leadership and under your parentage. You say, so it might be a 5-year stint, but if it is, you got to wait it out. Let them have those 5 years. If it's 3 years, good. But you, again, let them have those 3 years and let them live it out. And for some kids, it's a long-term process. Maybe the rest of their life, they're gone. They just disassociate totally. There are kids like that. But if that's the case, remember this. You raised them, you taught them, you instill within them values, you instill within them a faith, you instill within them a sense of right and wrong and good and bad, and you have to trust that your teaching will continue to prevail in the life of your kid, no matter where he is and what he's doing. Have faith in yourself. Affirm yourself. Give yourself that sense of you did it, and you did it right, and you did it in good faith, and now it's up to them to take it and develop it in their own life. So that's what it's like, living with a teenager that says adios. Living with a teenager that says, I'm on my own. Living with a teenager that says, no more of you. I'm on my own. I'll handle it myself. And if that's the case, parent, let go. Open your hands and let go. And then just trust that all that you've done and all that you've contributed and all that you've taught and all that you've encouraged and the life that you've lived before them will stick and will come forth and produce good fruit in the future. It's a tough one, isn't it? Well, anyway, thanks for joining me today. I have a little quote here to finish up on and just comment about as we bring this to a conclusion. Here's the quote for your consideration. A child's life is really determined by just how hard his mother and father work at being parents. You know, it's not easy. It's a tough one being parents. But the harder you work at it, the better it will be for your kids. The better it will pay off in your kid's life. But if you don't work at it very hard, your kid will not have a life of competency that's very high in the scale. Your kid will probably have more depression than you maybe should have. So it's the idea here of being a determined parent, be a working parent, be a faithful parent, be a trusted parent, and give to your kids something that nobody else can give, so that you will be a hardworking parent in the life of your kids, and it will pay off that way. Anyway, nice to have you with me, and thanks for joining me. And remember this, you're welcome to be a sponsor. Get in touch with us, and we'll add you to our sponsor list. Okay? And if something in this program was helpful to you and you want to share it with somebody, send it on to somebody else and have them listen to it. If you know somebody that's struggling in these areas of their life and in areas of their family life, send them a copy of this YouTube. Just tell them how to access it and have them watch it. Maybe it can be helpful to them. You be helpful to somebody else. Okay? That's your job today. Think about who that could be. So, thanks for joining me, and see you next week. Bye for now.
Pompeii Pompe disease is a progressive, multisystemic, debilitation, and often fatal muscular disease. The United Pompe Foundation was formed to assist those affected by Pompe with the medical costs and other expenses that they may not be able to fully cover through their insurance. Visit UnitedPompe.com to learn more and to make a tax-deductible contribution to the United Pompe Foundation.
When I set foot on the campus to come visit it, I was struck by how open and how welcoming the students and the professors were. Coming to Gordon was like coming home.
I think intentional community is what Jesus modeled with his disciples, and Gordon has really fostered a good place for intentional community to happen.
Gordon is a place where you can meet people from all over the world and hear their stories. I meet a lot of different people who are shaping who I am today.
Gordon seeks to graduate men and women of character and of leadership, and the world is the place where Gordon students belong.
Choosing to go to Gordon was, I think, one of the best decisions I've made in my life. Expect to be changed.
If your home floods, who will you call? When your house springs a leak, it's time to call Clean Master Emergency Flood Service at 559-213-9430. Clean Master will be there in 60 minutes to start fixing your home. And Clean Master bills your insurance directly, saving you the hassle because you've got enough to worry about. Clean Master also offers carpet and upholstery cleaning, carpet repair, pet odor removal, and more. Remember, Clean Master Emergency Flood Service, 559-213-9430, and visit cleanmasterflood.com.